Springfield, Massachusetts, at the St. Matthew's Cemetery. This is the oldest cemetery in western Massachusetts. It's also served, when it was opened in 1845, it also served northern Connecticut, eastern New York State, southern Vermont, and a good portion of central Massachusetts, because there was no Catholic cemeteries in that area. So this was it. And for that reason, it's very hard to find, when you look at gravestones here, it's hard to find their birth and death certificates, even though they should be there, because Massachusetts records since 1841 are exceptional. And I have great luck finding all death records since then. But here, no, because a lot of these people didn't die in Massachusetts. They died in Connecticut, Vermont, maybe even New Hampshire and New York. And they were brought here because there was no Catholic cemeteries for about 100 miles. The northern Vermont had one in Burlington, southern Connecticut had one, but this was it for this great area. And this served the St. Matthew's Church, which when it started was in Springfield, but later, of course, it became a part of Chicopee. That church is 2 miles away. Very close by, in fact, only 100 yards away, is the Calvary Cemetery, which is the second oldest Catholic cemetery in western Massachusetts. So within 6 years, they opened another one because this one was filling up. Now, you might say, by looking at it, it's not filled up. It is filled up. There's so many poor people that could not afford the stones and buried inside of here. In fact, in most Catholic cemeteries, they won't necessarily bury you there unless either the family or a fraternal group pays for the burial. But here, everyone was buried here, if they were a Catholic or not, because this was the first one, and they were so incredibly poor. These were the people that came to Holyoke, for instance, to dig the canals. These are the people that came to Chicopee to work inside the mills. These are the people that came from Ireland to Springfield to work inside as housekeepers and chauffeurs. They started at a very low level. St. Matthew's Cemetery is the very oldest. Now, if you look at the amount of gravestones, I've calculated that maybe there's about 400 names on these gravestones. If you count the amount of people buried here, there's maybe about 3,000 people buried here. And thus, that means that the vast majority, almost 90%, have no gravestone whatsoever. The people that died in choral epidemics in Holyoke, 350 of them in one summer, they're all buried here without a stone. That's the way it happens when you come from your country trying to save your life, and you find here a tough living still. But they would succeed, these families. A lot of these stones were put up later, and this cemetery became a closed cemetery, filled up by 1920. A lot of later burials because the families were over here. So it's a locked cemetery. I've never been in myself, even though I've done so many tours of cemetery, but I wish someday I could. Now, if you want to get to the Calvary Cemetery, go down this street. And this street, Springfield Street, will lead you to Hamden Street, right at the bend, not the one that car just took, but one further, about 100 yards up, and take the left, and the Calvary Cemetery is right there. I can actually see it through the trees. All right, so thank you for coming on this tour.